Hey everybody, it's your boy Nerdicane here again, doing another review, continuing with X-Men Blue, out of my car again, waiting on Baby Boy to wake up. But hopefully I'll knock this out in under 10 minutes and do another one tomorrow. I want to catch up and be current on the X-Men going forward. I know I've been lazy, but I've been back in school. Anyway, X-Men Blue number 5. This cover, I like it. I like it and I don't like it. The sense of scale and proportion is really great. I just wish they had taken the time to do a background of some sort. Uh, it just seems a little, I hesitate to say lazy because these are professionals and they do it for a living, but it does seem a little lazy to just go with a black background when you have these really well drawn figures up front. And up front is Jimmy. I don't know if that's it. I don't know if that's the name they're going to go with. The son, the universe displaced son of Wolverine. So once again, credit where credit's due. Cullen Bunn's doing a good job. You know what? I did something today that I try to not do. I went to his Twitter, and with a lot of people working in the comics industry, I try not to because I don't want their politics to sour me on their work. I try not to let that happen. As you see with like Gail Simone, I used to follow Gail Simone, and it's all Trump, 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 Trump. I'm not even sure what book she's working on currently, or if she's even working, because all of her energy is on Trump. But I went to Cullen Bunn, sort of by accident, and he's a liberal. I can tell that from his one political post. But the cool thing is, man, everything else about that he's doing on his Twitter, everything else is about comics, about work. And that's a pro. That's good. So that makes me feel better. I followed him. Uh, I tried to keep this channel on the business of comics, on the art form of comics, but I'm sure someday it will bleed over into comic professionals' politics injuring the industry, because there's no way around it. It is doing that. But I digress. Let me get back into the comic. This left off last issue with the Marauders showing up to try to recapture Jimmy Hudson. We didn't really know why, but great opening page. Shows the rage, shows the rampage. He's ready for a fight. And let's see where we're going. Also, this second page, really great spread of a superhero fight. This is what a superhero fight in a crappy bar would look like. It would just be bodies everywhere, powers everywhere. They would destroy the place, which they wind up doing. Just chaotic melee of superpowers. They do another neat thing in the story here. They basically lay all the characters out, all the players out, Cyclops armor, and in just one little box, they just put what they do. So catches the reader up. Like, even I needed this because a couple of these guys I didn't even know who they were, like Mach 2 and the Guardian. I didn't really know who the heck they were. Jean Grey's on defense of the civilians who got kind of caught up in the crossfire. It's a good fight sequence as far as comic books go. Back and forth, back and forth. Cyclops is dealing with armor, and he's dealing with her like the whole time. And like I said, in this melee, these powers are going to destroy the place. Iceman showing a little bit of experience, dealing with someone like Quicksilver, where he's created multiple copies of himself out of ice, and they're just beating him down once they get him stopped. Enter Jean, and she tries to use some of her psychic abilities on these. And this is really neat. She kind of stumbles into who's manipulating them, who's controlling them, pulling the strings. And it's Mrs. Sinister, and that's kind of like, I put that in quotation marks because Mr. Sinister, if you know him from before, is a human who has genetically altered himself with mutant abilities. and can actually control his cells and his molecules on a molecular level. So, everybody says, "Oh, it's a female Mr. Sinister." It's not really. I don't think you really can see Mr. Sinister as that anymore, because he's a shapeshifter, and like I said, he has control of himself on a molecular level. He can do whatever he wants with his genes. He can splice in powers here and there, and that's basically what he is. He's an amalgamation of powers that he's found useful from other mutants. So changing his chromosomes from XY to XX isn't really that difficult for him. And this is great. This is a great villain so far, because good villains aren't like the good villainous mastermind isn't in rage. They're supposed to have a little bit of rage, but they're always supposed to be calm and calculated. And that's what this sequence with Jean is. She's having just a very calm, calculated conversation with her. Meanwhile, the fight is still going on. Jean is kind of put into this stasis where she's having to concentrate completely on Mrs. Sinister, the mutant formerly known as Mr. Sinister, and the fight just still rages around her. Now, she hadn't engaged any of the other mutants, any of the Marauders, so she had always been on defense, so she's not really getting smacked around while she's stuck standing still. This is a weird panel. This is Mach 2 can control metal, which is, I don't know where the name Mach 2 comes from. Most of the time the powers have something to do with their code name. And she's like stripping the metal off of Jimmy Hudson's bones, and I don't know if he gets it back. I'm not sure if he just has like 2 non-metal claws now, or what. I have to make notice of that. I'm just noticing that now. She opens she opens the book here. She shows, okay, she's from another dimension. There are a lot of different dimensions. She's kind of crossed them all. You even see the Ultimates there, which I loved. And down here, Jimmy's doing kind of his version of the Weapon X escape. That's not a very important page. I'll skip that one so I don't get copyright strike. Cut to, it just seems, it seems like Iceman can keep him down like a boxer, like a really good boxer, like Floyd Mayweather. He's a great boxer. He's a legendary boxer, whether you like him or not. I think he's kind of an a-hole. He's an incredible boxer, but he doesn't have knockout power. You're not going to see him knock a whole lot of opponents out, and he's never really knocked a whole lot of opponents out. And that's kind of Iceman in the situation. He's young. I wouldn't say he's an Omega level mutant yet, so he doesn't really have the knockout power. But as you see in this panel, Beast does. So that was a great team up. And Jimmy's on the loose. He's on the run. The Marauders are kind of after him, and we sort of wrap up this meeting between Jean Grey and Mrs. Sinister, with her just casually walking away like a good villain. She's not wringing her hands. She's not like, "I'm gonna get you." Those are the villains you fear. Just like, I had a TI back in basic training. Well, this is back in tech school, and coming from basic training, you get yelled at by a lot of instructors in basic training. When you get to your tech school, I had this guy, and I can't remember his name, but he was always calm, and he was always soft-spoken, even when, we had screwed up, and we knew we screwed up, and we knew we were in trouble. He was always soft-spoken like this. And that was scarier than any TI yelling at us, because you didn't know if he was going to explode. You didn't know what was on his mind, because he just had that calm demeanor and tone. And I think that's sort of that's sort of my take on this Mrs. Sinister, is just a very calm, calculated person. That's a good villain to me. That's a good setup. Cut back to the team. They've tracked down Jimmy, but the Marauders are gone. They've kind of served their purpose. And Mrs. Sinister sees, as she said, the feather that everybody wants in their cap, which is Jean. So she's kind of said, okay, you can keep Jimmy Hudson, new Wolverine for now. She knows that she's looking big picture. She knows her big picture plan will just basically capture everybody. Cut to back in Madripoor. I keep wanting to say they're at the X Mansion, but they're not. And I guess this is the welcome to the team. Pseudo Wolverine. He doesn't want to be called Wolverine. I don't know what they're going to call him in the future. If he's going to get a code name or anything, we'll see. But that is the end of this. It's pretty good. I mean, I don't know if this is the first time we've seen Mrs. Sinister. I don't know if this is her first appearance. Yeah, go pick it up. Read it. It's a good read. It's part of the story. If you love the X-Men and if you're following the X-Men. This one, if I were going to try to get somebody into the X-Men, I wouldn't give them this issue. This is like... there are better issues of this X-Men Blue to kind of get somebody into and get somebody hooked in. So I will probably see you guys tomorrow. I will probably talk to you guys tomorrow. I hope to crank out 1 or 2 of these a day. I have something brewing since October 1st is coming up, the end of the fiscal year. I'm kind of want to do a fiscal year-end review for what's been going on with Marvel and what's been going on in comics in general. But I got to do a little research on that, and I hate doing research. And I need to break out the iMovie and actually do a movie or a video that's better than me just recording something in my car. So hopefully in the future, as I learn to work with iMovie, these will get better. These won't just be me sitting in my car talking to the seat with a comic book on it. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, comments in the video. I try to respond to everybody. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.